'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a rating of all the books I've read so far in 2023. I've always loved to read, but lately I've been getting back into it because there's so many books on my shelf I haven't read yet. So these are all the books I've read so far in 2023. There's a couple of them in this category that I don't have because they were rented from the library. So these are all the ones that I own that I would consider young adult fiction. Yeah, so we're gonna go through and just rate them and if I would recommend or if not. The first book off this list is Vespertine or Vespertine. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is by Margaret Rogerson. This is one of the best books I've ever read. So it's fantasy, but I placed it in the YA category because of just the context of it. I feel like it's more for younger readers. I would say maybe it's about a girl training to be a nun who cleanses the body of the deceased so that their souls can pass on. However, her convent is attacked by possessed soldiers and she defends it by awakening an ancient spirit bound to a saint's relic. It says, as she unravels a sinister mystery of saints, secrets, and dark magic, her bond with the Revenant, which is the evil spirit, grows. And when a hidden evil begins to surface, she discovers that facing this enemy might require her to betray everything she's been taught to believe if the Revenant doesn't betray her first. 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorite in this category from what I've read so far. If you like fantasy, it's an easy read, and also it kept me really hooked. Like I wanted to read one more chapter, so I definitely recommend this one. Next book is called A Million Junes, and it's by Emily Henry. It was okay. I'll read the synopsis. For as long as Jack June O'Donnell has been alive, her parents have only had one rule: stay away from the Angert family. But when June collides quite literally with Saul Angert, sparks fly and everything June has always known is thrown into chaos. It had a little bit of fantasy elements, although to be honest with you, I didn't really understand them all too well because it seemed to only affect her and Saul. So I thought that was kind of weird. Like it only seemed to affect their families, but it was okay. I would give this 3 out of 5 stars. It's not horrible, but I probably wouldn't read it again. Next book, or it's actually a duo, let me put it the right way, was The Dance of Thieves and The Vow of Thieves. And these are each like easily 500 pages. Seriously, so good. I've really discovered that one of my favorite genres is fantasy YA, or I haven't really read any fantasy adult literature, but this is definitely it. It goes between 2 characters, Kazi and, oh my gosh, I forgot his name, Jace, okay? Sorry. So it's between Kazi and Jace, and it's set in a fantasy world. It's a love thing, so I don't want to spoil anything else, but they aren't supposed to like each other, so you can put the pieces together with that one, but I highly, highly recommend this one. I don't want to give anything away just because the back is excerpts from the book. So if you have a chance, pick these up. Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves by Mary Pearson. Next, we have Save the Date by Morgan Matson. This is a typical young adult book. It deals with a girl, her sister's getting married, and everything seems to just go wrong on the wedding day. And just kind of like how her life is like that, you know, the senior year kind of like deciding factors that you see in a lot of young adult like movies and books. This one has that in there. It was okay. I thought it was an easy read. I thought it was entertaining. I would give this one 4 out of 5 stars, although I wouldn't reread it simply because there really wasn't anything of substance in the book. It really didn't keep me hooked. It was just kind of like a casual, easy read. It was okay, nothing wrong with it, nothing great about it. It was just an okay book. The next book that I own that I read was The Queen's Rising, and who's this by? Rebecca Ross. I hate the pages. So I don't know if you could tell, they're like, what did they say they were, like deckled or something like that? Like they're ripped. It's supposed to be for design. I don't like it. Anyways, this one was another YA fantasy. So when her 17th summer solstice arrives, Brianna desires only two things: to master her passion and to be chosen by a patron. With war brewing, Brianna must choose which side she will remain loyal to, passion or blood, because the queen is determined to rise and lead the battle to reclaim the crown. Who will be that queen? It was alright. I mean, it really wasn't as action-packed as I would have hoped. It was kind of slow at times. It really had a really slow beginning. I will say that. I do remember that. Characters were just okay. I felt like I really couldn't connect to them at all. So I'll give this one 3 out of 5 stars. Also, would not reread. It really, like I said, wasn't really action-packed for me personally. And I feel like it was a good book. There was nothing wrong with it. I just wouldn't reread it, as in it wasn't one of my top faves from this category this year. A book that I rented from the library that I was reading is called We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, I believe. I saw so much about this book online, about how like it was so good. They really felt something with this book. I didn't like it. I didn't like the language of the book. It was written kind of differently, which I really don't like when people mess with writing styles personally. It was just kind of odd, all over the place, which made sense in the end. I thought it wrapped up nicely in the end. It really wasn't that great throughout, but it was really short, so it wasn't hard to finish. I would give that one 3 out of 5 stars. Would not reread, just because it just really wasn't my favorite writing style, but I did really like the concept of it. Also, I did read this book. I kind of forgot about it. Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. It was a classic YA book, high school boys drama, that kind of thing. They were friends, and then they went from, like, you know, friends to enemies, that kind of trope. It was okay. It was a really easy read, cute. Nothing wrong with it. I would give this one 4 out of 5 stars, just because I really like the concept of it. I really like the storyline, the storytelling. I thought the characters were pretty well thought out, even though some of them were like stereotypical. Other than that, I did like this book. It was a nice read if you don't want to really think too much, if that makes sense. And I know that sounds like I'm dragging the book, but I mean that in the nicest way possible, where it's like I can just chill and read this book before bed and not have to be freaking out about what's in the book. That is all the books I read for the YA section. So of course I'm going to give my top 3 right now, even though you probably heard the reviews. So top 3, Vespertine and The Dance of Thieves and The Vow of Thieves. I would reread these books over and over again. I think about these books a lot, and overall, highly recommend. They are worth your money to buy. Don't just rent them, buy them. I think you're going to want to reread them over and over again. Moving on to the adult section with some romance. The first one I read is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the same author of A Million Junes. This one was okay. You know, it had a lot of hype online, so I really wanted to give it a chance. They were best friends, and then they turned enemies, and now they're back together for a little vacation together, and the vacation's not what they expect it to be. I didn't really feel that connected to the characters. I thought the writing style was great, though. I really enjoyed that, and it was a pretty easy read and pretty relaxing, like to just read by the pool. So I would give this one 4 out of 5 stars. I'm going to say I wouldn't reread it. I thought it was fine. Like a lot of these other books, there's nothing wrong with them. They're just not my favorite. And this happened to just be one that's not my favorite. So I'm going to give Emily Henry one more chance with another book that I want to read. And other than that, she's just okay. Next, I have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This was one of my favorites I have read this year. I would say for romance, it's way better, I think, than Emily Henry, but I mean, I guess that maybe that just depends on your taste. However, I thought it was really beautifully written. I thought the characters were really well thought out. I thought it was relatable. You know, I could connect to it and I felt for the characters. So overall, I would say this one I would prefer over People We Meet on Vacation. This one I'll give 5 out of 5 stars. It was funny. It was everything I needed in a book. I enjoyed it and I recommend it. I would reread it again. This book you might have seen in my Utah vlog, but it's The Comeback Summer by Allie Brady. 5 out of 5 stars. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this book. This book was everything I wanted to read at this given time. It was funny, it was relatable, similar to the Christina Lauren one. It had, you know, some romance in it. But it wasn't like cheesy or anything like that. Honestly, it's a good one. So I recommend this one. It's about 2 sisters and their kind of journey to discover themselves outside of their comfort zones. But this one, 5 out of 5 stars. Already planning to reread again. I also read The Roughest Draft. Sorry, I have to look at my Goodreads. On Goodreads, I give this one 2 out of 5 stars. They're writers. They used to write together. It was like, you know, they used to be friends and other enemies. That kind of trope that I've, you know, read a lot of. The characters were bland and it wasn't fun or funny, relatable, nothing. Like, it felt like a book I had to read. You know when you're reading a book and you're like, I have to read this because now I'm already halfway through, so now I just have to finish it. That kind of feeling. And I'm sorry if that's offensive. I did not like it. The next book I read was The Rosie Project by Graham Simpson. That one I read for book club, so it wasn't my pick. It was actually my friend's pick. However, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, funny. It wasn't really romantic. Had a little, you know, cute little parts in there, but it wasn't romance. It was just strictly, you know, adult fiction. And it dealt with somebody with Asperger's syndrome. And I thought it was great. I thought it was an easy read. I would recommend it for a book club. And overall, I give it 4 out of 5 stars just because it wasn't my favorite. And because it's not my favorite, I'm not going to give it a perfect score. Another book I read was Vacation Wars by Megan Quinn. This is an adult romance. And I liked it. It was kind of long, I'm not going to lie. How many pages? 427 pages. But I thought the characters were really relatable. I thought it was cute, quirky, all the things, you know, adult finding herself and finding love. So overall, I give it 4 to 5 stars. And now time to pick my favorite adult read. I picked only one. I was between 2, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this is a clear winner. The Comeback Summer by Allie Brady. It's so good. I can't even describe it. I can't wait to reread it. I'm probably going to read it next summer too. I am planning on reading a bunch more, so I do hope you enjoy this type of video. If you do, let me know. If you read any of them, or if you have read any of them, let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute.